Aloha family, Spencer-Mack here. Operation Holy Stoke in full effect. Cultivating the ultimate state. Liberating the body and mind through practice, practice, practice. Try something new, fuck up, try something new. Keep trying, and you'll eventually get there. At least that's the program I'm operating on. Now, a video I put out 2 days ago, I was speaking on the topic of the Holy Stoke. How we reach that ultimate state of mind, that flow state, 0 point, the holy flow, to live in a state of grace. And one of our friends responded about how he has such difficulty getting any kind of control over his own mind, just always thinking incessantly. There's just never any room, barely any silence, and it's impossible. How do you get a hold of this thing that's intangible? So I'd like to share some thoughts on that. If you find that your mind is the opposite of controllable, it's just unruly and relentless in its thinking, how do we get a hold of this tool? Because ultimately this is the captain of the ship. If we don't get a hold of the mind, we're just going to end up wherever our past programs are directing us. We're going to be results of repeated patterns. But if we want to make change and start to author the story ourselves, we have to learn how to get a hold of the wheel. So, incessant thinking. How do we find that stillness? Ultimately, it's self-control. All practices, all habits or exercises that cause us to effort in a means to control ourselves, even if it's counting to 100 or standing on one leg for 5 minutes. These challenges, the more challenging and the longer duration, the more impact they'll have at strengthening our ability to concentrate. In yoga, they say you have to learn to concentrate before you can meditate. And as I spoke before in the... All right. My camera just cut off me. So there's a great example. If you can't focus long enough, it's like your camera shorting out. You're mid-thought, you're mid-idea. How are you ever supposed to consciously create something successfully if you can't even keep your eye on one thing long enough? So, one of my favorite insights into this came from the study of Kundalini Yoga. Now, the Hindus perceive the body to be a compilation of energy centers. There are 7 primary ones. They call them the chakras. Now, something unique that I learned from the Kriya point of view is that you begin with your third eye. I've made a video in the past about Trataka meditation, Trataka. That is the cultivation of concentration and control over your third eye. They actually start up here. Now they see this as the first chakra, and you have to open up your vision before you can start to navigate through the rest of the chakras. Each energy center is symbolic for different areas of life. So opening up your eyes, getting clear on your vision, is your ability to navigate, which is completely necessary if you want to accomplish anything. So getting control of this mind's eye and learning how to calm and quiet the chatter of the mind and direct it intentionally is pivotal. It is the first step. So I can't recommend enough going back and looking up that Trataka video or just Googling and researching Trataka as a practice. Now, ultimately, it calls for us to bring our eyes to a single point. It could be a candle, it could be a dot on the wall, and to keep our eyes there. We work to not blink, to release all the tension that we can out of our eyes. It's so common to collect tension in here, and often that is a reflection for tension we're holding elsewhere in our body. These are some of the most sensitive muscles in our body, so if there's tension anywhere, ultimately it's probably going to be reflected in our eye, distorting our vision ultimately. So we learn to maintain focus for extended periods of time. Now we're in a world that works so hard to get you to be the opposite. You know, everything is like a couple seconds before they change the scene. TikTok, you're just watching these short videos. Your attention span is hardly longer than 15 seconds. When was the last time you read a book that took you like a week, you know? To be able to process and stay focused on one idea for an extended period of time is ultimately how we create anything of true value. So, how do we gain control over the mind when it's just a wild animal? We start to integrate practices like these into our lives. We integrate the Trataka practice. We start working with meditation, even if it's something like transcendental meditation, which is the repetition of a mantra, working at one thing for an extended period of time. Now, there's a kung fu stance known as horse stance or mabu. This is the foundational stance. It's a very deep squat. And you get into mabu and you hold it as long as you can. You can use this stance to cultivate your concentration, to cultivate your self-control. Any of the yogas, learning an asana where you're standing in a particular posture and taking your time to really sink into that posture and stay there is going to build up self-control, the ability to concentrate. We don't get anything done and we don't have continuous concentration because we've never cultivated it. We're just losing our attention all over the place. So really, Trataka is one of the primary exercises I would recommend. Google it, look it up, check out my old video, and start cultivating the ability to keep your eye on a single point for an extended period of time in a relaxed manner with no tension. Now, 2 keys, as our friends also put in the comments section, patience. You got to be patient with yourself and forgiving. If you have that feeling like you failed and you fucked up, that's like you have one eye on this idea. I failed, I fucked up. As long as your eye's over there, you can't be concentrating on what's important, cultivating your self-control, your self-awareness. Now, if you are fully concentrated and aware of this idea, your center point, your focus, there's no room for anything else. You cannot have the feelings of fear or regret when you are completely absorbed in your point of concentration. There's complete liberation when we are unified into a single idea, especially when we're choosing what the idea is or allowing it to be gracefully delivered, as you could say, through the Holy Stoke. So, be patient with yourself. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall off the bike. Just get back on and understand that every time you get back on, you get stronger, you get better, you get quicker at getting into that state. It's a matter of repetition. That's how we change things at a fundamental level, is repetition. So if you want to get in control of that, you really got to start organizing your life, organizing your practices. Know exactly what time of day you sit down and for exactly how long you sit down and do Trataka meditation. If you have done it for 20 days in a row, that's demonstrative of your ability to concentrate for a long period of time. If you have a problem and your mind's all over the place, chances are your daily protocol is not very consistent, at least with the things that you wish you were doing. Now, the more you can really start to define and orchestrate your day shows a higher and higher degree of self-control. So take these habits, whether it's Trataka, doing some kind of exercise or yoga, that you know are going to benefit you, and install them methodically, one at a time. Put one in there, run it for 2 weeks until it's just a part of your way of life. Then put the next one in. Gradually increasing the difficulty of these challenges, of these habits, and you'll gradually integrate them into your being. So getting clarity over that mind's eye allows us to get clear about what it is we want, how we want to design it, and really it acts like a snowball effect. Once you get one thing and you really see the power of what happens when you make a decision, you decide, I'm going to do this, and then you do it, you're going to start cultivating faith in yourself. And then so ultimately, all it comes to is you having to make a decision. So be it. You can speak things into being when you have cultivated that high level of truth, of faith in your own word. You know that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. So start small. Start on things that you can manage. And really, don't bite off more than you can chew. Gradually add them on. Define your ideal practice, even if it's just one thing that you're adding now. What time of day are you going to do it? How long are you going to do it? What exactly is the process? The more that we define it, the more likely it is to come into form. Definition. By definition, defining something is to give it form. So learn to articulate your goals, your dreams, your visions, and will sharpen our clarity of our vision and our ability to create and our control of our mind. So I know that was quite a broad rant all over the place, but ultimately, I hope you get the main idea that you can cultivate stillness and control of the mind through very daily mundane things. See that every time you eat dinner, you leave the dishes in the sink. If you were to commit yourself, every time I eat, I wash my dish, I dry it, and I put it up. And then you actually went through with that for a couple weeks, you would build up a feeling of confidence, more faith in yourself, knowing that, hey, I can do pretty much any kind of habit that I want to assign myself. And as you grow, the challenges get bigger and bigger, but your ability and your faith grows along with it. So patience, and the other element is consistency. Every single day. Do it every day. It's something you can rely on. It's something you can set your clock on. And it's through repetition that we really drive patterns in. The Taoists have a saying, the soft overcomes the hard. The yin overcomes the yang. For the Western mind, we think it's stronger is better, but ultimately, water shapes the rock. Over years, a dripping stream of water can dig a hole in a stone. So it's through consistency that we can really reform ourselves. And the more clarity and control we get, the more clarity we'll have over what exactly we want to create. And ultimately, it all starts with that fundamental practice of getting control of the mind, learning to concentrate. Highly recommend looking into Kundalini yoga, these different meditation practices that teach you how to harness your own faculties. Awesome, guys. That's my rant for the day. Doing daily videos so I could really use your help in whatever kind of topics you find most fascinating. I'm into it. Just keep talking story. It helps me to learn. If you really want to learn something, teach somebody. When you catch that lesson, you're like, man, that's important. Don't just write it down. Go tell your friend. That really assures that it gets into your psyche at a much deeper level. Talk about it out loud. Write about it. Redefine it. Read it again the next day. And the next day. It will become a part of your character. Awesome, guys. So, always a pleasure. Hope you guys are doing great out there. Stoked for the next one. Subscribe, like, all that good jazz. And as always, see you in the next one. Peace.